Hey there, gang. Another report in from Arizona. We were successful again in getting another gravestone for someone who was unmarked. I don't know if you remember, just about 2 years ago, December 2021, we did an episode on the 3 little girls who were murdered in Inglewood, California, the Babes of Inglewood. And we visited the graves of 2 of the little girls. And one of them, Jeanette Stevens, the oldest one of the 3, she was unmarked. She did not have a gravestone up until, that is, maybe a month or 2 ago. But it was quite a saga, an odyssey to get there, I'm sad to say. And I want to first say that we owe a lot of thanks to Vanessa, who is one of our friends or viewers, subs, who really took the torch on this to work with me. She lives in the area of, not in Inglewood, but close enough to get over there and see this through. And it really took a lot of energy and fortitude on Vanessa's part to pull this off, because the cemetery was not only uncooperative, but basically almost roadblocked us. Sad to say, they're very rude people, well, the saga, I'll give you the saga in a nutshell. Basically, soon after the video aired, Vanessa picked up the torch. She said, I'll do it. And as we've done many times before, contact the cemetery. And I got to tell you, most of all the cemeteries that we've worked with, I've worked with, have been awesome people to work with. And they're like, I remember Bohemian National. The very first one that I did, we bought a gravestone for little Liska Perubik, the little girl who was murdered. I think it was 1911. It was my very first episode. And when they found out that, I remember the woman there said, oh, the little baby, they really worked, they rallied, and not only that, they gave me a big discount. I wasn't asking for a discount, but it was someone coming forward anonymously to help. So everybody chipped in. Well, in this case, we were at a cemetery called Inglewood Park Cemetery. And I'll just tell you, Vanessa, when she first went, soon after the episode, we're talking almost 2 years ago, I'm not going to name any names. At first I was going to name names. The person, I'll just say there were 3 staff members, and I know they're going to probably watch us, and you know who you are. And the first person that she met with, senior person, was extremely rude and confrontational with Vanessa, basically like, who are you, and you don't have the right to do this, kind of an attitude. I'm just being metaphorical on this. And it's, are you kin, next of kin? No. And great. Yeah, you got to start out with that. And once we got past that, he went into this whole direction of, well, you need to not only get a hold of the family, but you need to get all the ancestral and genealogy and going all the way back, and a lot of ridiculous demands. So Vanessa went away, and she spent a long time and a lot of her time contacting relatives. I think it was 3 families, descendants. Finally got someone to agree. And get this, when she went back to talk to staff member number 1, the response was, again, I'm just being metaphorical, but it was basically, I don't know the exact words, but it's like, let's focus on you. Do you need to buy a plot? Do you need a gravestone? Oh, you're asking all these questions about her family, and and she was being very nice, and she shared a little bit, and the next thing you know, it was a high pressure power spray. It was like the car dealer. You need to buy a stone for a plot and a stone, and you and your father and this one and that, and it was like, let's not worry about Jeanette. Let's talk about what can you buy here? Now that is, Vanessa was just like mortified. So she, was very cordial and said, okay, I'll be in touch. And she said, and by the way, what's your name? Your last name? And the person wouldn't share the last name. So it's kind of like, what's going on here, and well, we found out the last name, so we know who the people are now. And again, I'm not going to share the names. She gets the information from the family. She gets that kind of a response, so she just kind of goes away for just a little bit and tries to come at it a different approach, just makes a random call, and someone else answers the phone, and it's staff member number 2. Staff member number 2, after hearing everything, says, "Oh, hey, no problem. All you have to do is sign a waiver." And by the way, it's true. Like at Mount Carmel or Queen of Heaven, I remember when we bought the expensive monument for Joan Reinhold's of the Virgin, the Mother. They had me sign a waiver that in case a family member comes forward later or somebody objects, that's your cost to take it out and put it the way it was. Great. She said, okay, we get down there, we're going to do it and everything. And basically Vanessa's recontacting, and to make a long story short, a year goes by and the person just completely dropped the ball, like, don't care. And Vanessa's following up and just kind of no follow-up. Finally, Vanessa, and I'm communicating with Vanessa. I'm like, what's going on at this Inglewood Park place? This is... But I didn't want to get involved. Vanessa, I've got this. She called back, talked to a third person. And until she was getting the same treatment, basically, from especially the first two. The second person was throwing on the sales pitch. Let's focus on you. What can we sell you? Like a car dealer. And not just the Western Avenue, I say on Chicago, the Western Avenue Z. Frank Chevrolet car dealer. The little flags, that kind of a sales pitch. High pressure. You can imagine families that are going through mourning, they're vulnerable, and they're getting the high pressure sale. I've heard about this. First time we've run into it. So basically, Vanessa finally says in the end, she's getting blown off and all this, she finally just says to these Inglewood Park people, listen, I'm going to call the Better Business Bureau. And not only that, I'm going to go on Yelp and I'm going to spread the word. In no certain terms, the word's going to be spread out. Oh, and guess what? 3 months later, the stone is in. It's beautiful. Like magic. Now, the monument company can't blame. They're the third party. They did a great job. I don't know that. I'm not going to mention any names. But right down the line at Inglewood Park, really appalling behavior, I have to say. And thank God Vanessa just forged through it and got it done. Yeah, I understand that Vanessa went out to the cemetery with her brother. She made a short film for us that I'll show you, and they laid flowers and said a prayer for little Jeanette Stevens, and it's a beautiful thing. So just in closing, it's really sad that a place like Inglewood Park just puts a bad name, a bad face on cemeteries. We've heard this before. I believe it's a minority. I think 20, 30, 40 years ago, it was a lot more than today, but they're still around. They're still playing these shenanigans. So I would just say that place, bad taste in my mouth, a bad taste in Vanessa's mouth. But we got it done. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you so much. And may Jeanette Stevens now be remembered for eternity, and may she rest in peace.